Hello friends, I hope you're having a good Saturday. Today I'm going to get ready because I'm getting ready to go to a bingo night with my husband and his family. And I just wanted to go over, while I'm getting ready, I created a couple different Seint bundles. A couple different package deals that you could get just to show you what you can get and how affordable it really is to get started with Seint. And just comparing, being able to compare to your makeup that you're using now. And so these are not bundles through Seint. They're just ones that I created just to show you what you can get for if you just want to start, if you want to have like a medium type bundle, or if you want to just go all out. So I have 4 different ones. So as I'm getting ready, I'm just going to show you. So the basic bundle is just your basic palette, and it will hold 4 tens. So within this palette, this 4, they call it the number 4, you can put your 3 highlights, which your highlights make up your foundation, your foundation shade. So your typical foundation shade that you're probably using now is just 1 shade. And Seint is known for, using more than 1 shade to match the points on your face and to give you a more 3-dimensional look. So in this palette, this 410 palette, I put my 3 shades that make up my foundation, and then I put a contour. So if you're wanting to get started with a 410 palette, you can get your 3 shades of your foundation. You could do contour, you could do bronzer, you could do blush. That 4th one could be any of your choices, whatever you prefer. And so in the basic bundle, I included the 3D brush and 4 tens, and then the 410 palette. So to get started, that basically is your foundation. It is $111, and that gives you, Seint does a deal that for every 10 you buy, you get a credit towards a palette. So when you buy 4 tens, you get a $10 credit. So this palette container, the case, ends up costing only $7. So total for these items, it would be $111. So I'm just going to put my makeup on while we're talking. So let's see, I'm actually doing this wrong because I put them in the wrong order. So my color corrector is the dark one, and I want to put my color corrector anywhere that I have redness or hyperpigmentation that I want to cover. Under eyes, I want to be really careful not to put too much because I want to avoid creasing and cakiness. I'm applying with a really light hand. Now these are fresh tins, so you want to be careful when they're fresh and new that you're not applying too much. You just barely press into it. So anywhere I have redness, I'm going to apply my color corrector just with a light hand. And this is the 3D brush. So it has a denser end and then a pointy end. So I think that covers my redness. Now I'm going to go in with my main highlight, which is Candlelit, and just press basically anywhere that I didn't put my color corrector. Now, if your color corrector, if you feel like it's too dark, you can press over it, and you just want to stipple. You don't want to mix it because mixing it will create a completely different shade. So my main highlight will bring me back to matching and help blend into my neck. And once you get used to applying this makeup, it really does go on fast. And the other thing that I love about it is you can go from one season to the next pretty much using the same shades. In the summertime, I will use more mango just because I will have more of a tan. And then in the winter, I use more Candlelit. And there's no more guessing on what shade you're going to be with what season. So that's pretty much my foundation. Now my brightener, I'm going to put anywhere that I want to brighten. So typically just here in a V under your eye, and down your nose, and like in an upside down triangle between your eyebrows on your forehead. And my chin. Okay, now I'm going to show you just using this one brush. Typically I use the detail brush to do my contour, but I just want to show you that you can actually do it with this brush. So I will just squeeze it so it's more flat, and then just press on an angle into my contour. And then I'm going to go into, your contour is in line with your lip, the corner of your lip and your ear, and right under your cheekbone. And you don't want to go past your eye, the corner of your eye, and you just want to stipple it in. And then you can kind of blend it up. And contour just gives you a defined look, basically defines where natural shadows would be. So here on my hairline. And the nice thing about contours is it gives you coverage. So you don't have to apply your highlight, your main foundation colors, where you're going to apply any highlight because or contour, because your contour will provide coverage. And just make sure you blend it well because you don't want to have any lines. And then I go along my jawline. And going along your jawline will just help get rid of the appearance of a double chin and gives definition to your jawline. And then just blend it down in your neck. Again, you don't want any defined lines. Now you can contour your nose, which you're just barely touching it. And that just defines your nose. Okay, so that's basically what makes up this basic bundle. You have 4 tins, your number 4 palette, and the 3D brush. So that's $111, which when you compare, I want to go over that. So when you compare your foundation that you're using now, they can range from, I don't know, $15 to $50+. So the foundation that I was using prior to Seint, it was probably about $25 for a bottle. And it would last me probably 1 to 2 months. So we'll say 6 weeks. Each one of these tins is $16. You replace them as you run out. So you're only replacing one at a time. My main highlight and my color corrector are the ones that I use the most. Now I just barely put brand new ones in here. And the ones that I've been using, I have been using for 6 months. And they still have, let's see if I can find them. They still have, so right here, these are the ones that I've been using for 6 months. There's probably enough in here to probably last me another month. So that's how long they last. You can, because you're using so very little, they will last at least 6 months. So when you really think about it, 2 tins last you, maybe if you're applying more than you need to, we'll say 4 to 6 months. So that's $32, lasts 4 months. So it is really cost efficient. And then contour, it'll last probably at least a year. Brightener, I would say probably close to a year, because this one I have also been using for 6 months and there's hardly any gone out of it. So you can see how, the initial investment may seem like a lot, but it lasts a long time. So that is the basic. The starter bundle is basically the same thing. So it's the 4 tins, number 4, and your 3D brush, and then your perfector sponge. Now I forgot to wet this, so I'm not going to use it right now. But normally, like you would just, the perfector removes any excess. So it really helps with, especially if you're new to Seint, because people can apply way too much, which then, creates stickiness on your face, creasing, and all the things that we want to avoid. So you just wet it and then you're just pressing it to get rid of any excess, and it just helps blend the makeup into your skin, just kind of melts it into your skin and gives you a more flawless finished look. So the perfector and these sponges, you can use beauty blenders, but these really, it's the denseness of them that really makes the difference and helps it blend into your face. So that's the starter. And so just adding the Perfector sponge makes it 127. And then the hack stack. So the hack stack is going to bump you up to a palette 8, which is basically the same size as the 4, but now you've got 2 layers. So we've got 2 layers here. In your second layer, so we're just going to pretend like this, these 4 are in the top of my number 8. So then in the second layer, you can put your bronzer, and then you can put a lip and cheek, which is, we're going to use this one. So that, so the hack stack is 6/10s. So you would have your foundation, your contour, and your bronzer, and your lip and cheek. That basically does your full face minus your eyes. So that one is 160. With the number 8, you get a $15 credit, so it makes the palette $8. So for 160, you get 6/10s, a number 8 palette, and the brush, and the Perfector for 160. And again, all of these 10s, I would say bronzer, lip and cheek, contour, and even your highlighter shade, your brightener shade, those will last you probably close to a year, if not longer. So the only 2 that you're going to be replacing maybe every 6 months is these 2. So again, very affordable. So I'm just going to apply some bronzer. And bronzer just gives you a nice, warm, kind of sun-kissed look. And I know before I started using Seint, I had a hard time. Like, I just didn't do much beyond just putting a little bit of blush on. Since I've been using Seint, I love adding color to my face. It just gives you a more natural look and a 3D, kind of a 3D look. Gives you some dimension to your face. So there's my bronzer. And I add a little bit to my neck just to kind of darken it and blend it all in with my face. Then I'm going to add my lip and cheek. And this you just want to add like on the apples of your cheek, and then you can kind of blend it up just depending on what your preference is. Okay, so this is the hack stack. And I will post pictures of everything that I've included. So 6/10s, 6 large 10s, brush, a number 8 palette, which will hold 8 10s, and your Perfector sponge for 160. Okay, so for your full face bundle, we are going to do, I'm going to just throw these all in here so you can see. One little tip is when you get your 10s, keep a 10 lid, because that is how you pop them out of your palette really easily. So I'm just going to pop these out. Now your full face, I am putting it into a number 12 palette, which basically means it will hold 12 large 10s. So we're going to put my color corrector first. Then we're going to do my main shade here, and then my brightener. Then we're going to do contour. Now it's highly recommended that you put your creams on a different layer than your powders. So that is the nice thing about the number 12, is that you can keep them all separated. So my 3 foundation shades, my contour, my bronzer, and then a lip and cheek. Then on my second layer, and this is for the full face bundle, then you get 6 large 10s and 4 eyeshadows, minus the one I use for my brows. So 4 eyeshadows and 6 10s. your 3D brush, the eyeshadow brush, and the Perfector for $209. So that basically gets you all in, committed. And for $209, you get your full face. And you have room to grow. You have room to get, let's see, you would have 8 more eyeshadows. So let's apply our eyeshadow. So I'm gonna go in with just a lighter shade. And actually, I forgot to put my primer on. Let's apply some primer. This is just Sorbet. It's just the one I'm using now. And I just got it off of Amazon and it works really well. So it primes your eyelids and just helps the eyeshadow go on and just blends better. Primer just helps with the blending. So normally, just because I'm obsessed and I have a lot more brushes, I use more than one brush to apply my eyeshadow, but I'm just going to show you that it can be done using just the eyeshadow brush. So let's see, what did I do with it? Okay, so I'm taking the small end of the eyeshadow brush and I'm just going to apply in the crease. Actually, I'm going to use the big end. I'm just going to blend in this lighter shade. And taking a lighter shade in your crease, I mean, even though you can't really see it, it just helps with blending your darker shade because it just gives it a base to blend with. Then I'm going to take my darker shade and I'm just going to press it in. And I like doing my eyeshadow in a V. It's just kind of how I do it. I mean, everybody kind of has the look that they like. And the key is just really to, be precise and blend well. And, because you don't want to have really defined lines. So taking the time to just really blend it out just gives you a more, just a better look. You don't have defined lines of eyeshadow. And the fluffy end of the eyeshadow brush does a really good job of blending. But again, it's just taking the time to do it. One thing I have learned using Seint is really any eyeshadow color works with any other color. You can make any work. I've mixed oranges and purples and browns and oranges and pinks and browns. I mean, you can make anything work. Okay, then I apply shimmers with my finger, and I'm just going to do it on the inner lid. And their shimmers are just really pretty. And then I'm going to add this lighter shade under my brow. In the inner corner. And then I'm going to apply this darker shade just on my lower lash line. Okay, and then, so I am going to use something different than the eyeshadow brush to do my brows. So I just have an angled brush that I use for my brows. And this is eyeshadow. This is just Kohl. It's a dark eyeshadow. And I know a lot of people will use contour for their eyebrows. You can do contour, you can do eyeshadow. We actually have some eyeshadow tins, but I just find that there's lots of other things you can use for eyeshadows. So that's my eyeshadows. So that is a full face using all Seint products. So I just want to show you. So full face, $209. If you want to go all in, you get 6 tins, 4 eyeshadow, the eyeshadow brush, the 3D brush, and the Perfector. So that's all for $209. And because these are not Seint bundles, you can honestly pick and choose what you want. So just the $209 price would include 6 tins of your choice. You could do any. You could do 3 lip and cheek if you don't want bronzer and contour, and then your 3 highlights. You could pick any brush. And honestly, the other brush that I would recommend is the Brush and Bronzer blush. I probably preferred this one over the 3D, but they both work really well. The 3D one, the only thing that I would say is for beginners, you just have to be really careful because it's a denser brush and it applies a lot more product. And that's usually what people have a hard time getting used to, is that you need very little. So that would be the only thing, that if you were to get the 3D, to just, you know, be very cautious of how much you're applying. So the other thing is, if you are interested in ordering at all, I highly, highly recommend you send me a request for a color match. These highlight shades are very pigmented, and so getting online and just trying to pick your shade, you will most likely just pick the wrong shade. You know, the shades look really dark and scary, but they're not. Like, you, especially when you're aging and have mature skin, you always want to go darker because it will help hide those wrinkles and fine lines. And yeah, so definitely put in a color match. And if you have any questions, let me know. But that's 4 different bundles. I will post a picture of each one with the price and what they include, just so you have an idea. But again, those are bundles that I've put together, so you'll have to add them to your cart. But it just gives you an idea of what you can get for that price. And it really is affordable. It's an investment at first, but they last a long time. Like, honestly, it probably close to a year. So if you have any questions, let me know. I hope you have a good day, and I'm gonna go play some bingo. We'll talk to you later. Bye.